Hi, my name's Jonathan Hicks. I'm back at the Dice Cup, and this evening I'm joined by
Mark, Bruce,
Steve. And we've just finished playing First Martians, Adventures on the Red Planet. This is essentially a re-theming of Robinson Crusoe, but in case you're not familiar with it, I'll explain roughly what's going on. You have a scenario each time, so in this particular scenario, we had to build Martian version of concrete, essentially, to expand our building on the Red Planet. So here is our base here. And part of the game involves you exploring out into these rings. You can take actions in various ways. Each of you got 2 of these pawns, and essentially you can kind of spend 1 pawn on some locations, which is then a bit risky. You'd end up then rolling the dice. So one of these dice determines whether or not you succeed. If you get the tick, you succeed. One of them may potentially give you wounds like this, but some sides are blank. And then one of them might cause you to have an adventure, although adventures are usually bad. Although you can often spend 2 pawns to kind of guarantee success, and then you don't need to roll the dice. But obviously, if you're spending 2 pawns, that's less or fewer actions to spend on other things. So that's the tension that's going to happen a lot of the time. But if you manage to succeed, in this case, thank you, Steve, then you reveal some part of Mars here. And the cubes are going to be some kind of resource that we were looking for. So we had to find dust, I think, on certain tiles, and then water on other tiles. And this particular scenario provides a couple of tracks here. So we were tracking how much water we had. Then we had to form a binding agent by mixing water with dust. Then we had to find gravel, so we had another track for gravel. Again, we're kind of going out exploring for that. And eventually you can see we're trying to obtain this Duracrete, this Martian version of concrete. But while that's going on, you have various parts of the station here, and you'll notice a lot of these broke at various points in the game. This one you can see ran out of power, but it also ran out of oxygen as well. So most of these things require power and oxygen, and you have sort of tracks for the amount of power and oxygen you have. And there are various events. There's going to be an event that triggers at the beginning of every round, which is usually bad, and you're kind of having to fight to repair these things as the events go bad. Little red markers you can see in various places here also trigger things and prevent them working, or in this case this required us to use more power than normal. So you have reserves of food and power, so you've got to feed everyone. You have a farm here that grows your food, so you're trying to manage these things. There are these little tracks which keep going up at the end of each round, and you're drawing cards. You can see the malfunctions are going to start happening in the various sections each round as things go wrong. A couple of other things. There's this nice little buggy, a little tank here, which you can take out when exploring. That kind of gives you extra actions. But you're trying to complete the scenario essentially, which is going to change each time. And I need to mention, that's right, finally, the characters. So you each take a character who has a few special abilities. So I was the medic in this case. You do take wounds, as I mentioned earlier, by rolling the dice. So my character is good for healing those wounds. And there's various other characters that help you do other special abilities. All right, what do we think?
Yeah, it's essentially Robinson Crusoe in space with an app. It feels a touch more fiddly than Robinson Crusoe, but maybe it's because it's early playing it. I remember first playing Robinson Crusoe and going through the rules several times and playing it several times until I was sure I got it, and this feels exactly the same. It's just a little bit, the rules are great, better than the early Robinson Crusoe, but still struggle. But yeah, there's just more stuff going on in places, and it's less logical, and I think I kind of like for the Robinson Crusoe theming if push comes to shove. I guess the app's a good idea because you don't, unlike the Robinson Crusoe, you can't see the second part of the card, whatever, which you could do, and there's more ways you can link it with the characters. And I guess the campaign idea was interesting because it does have like envelopes that you've got to tear open and stuff, so you'll have an evolving game as you go through it. Yeah, it's fun, it's just very Robinson Crusoe in space.
Okay. Bruce?
Really enjoyed it. It gave me very much a kind of pandemic feel. So things were going really well, and then all of a sudden things could go quite badly. I quite like the fact that even though you've got the dice, you can put more people there to make sure you have instant success. But really enjoyed it. Again, need to play it a few more times to get an understanding of all the mechanics, and I'm quite looking forward to playing different scenarios as well. So yeah, really good.
All right, Steve?
I'll preface this with saying this isn't my sort of game. It's not that I don't like co-ops, I just think it's very thematic to some extent. I think the app that Mark talked about is essential because Mark said it is fiddly, and it was. It was a bit of a fiddly setup, it was a bit obscure about why we were doing certain things, and I think to some extent the Robinson Crusoe theme, it was a bit more common sense. So when you're kind of building a fire, you need wood, and it's clear to see this is wood, that will get you that fire. Here we needed to get gravel. How did we get gravel? Well, we took a cube and then we researched it. Didn't kind of make sense. Whether we were playing it wrong, I don't know. Having said that, I was quite engaged throughout. I think the first turn, I'm like, what do I do? Well, I'll go exploring. I probably need to at some point. And then in the end, we were like optimising our actions because it was so tight. 3 of us finished with no extra wounds. So Mark, Jonathan, and myself finished with 1 wound away from death. If anyone dies, you lose the game. And we were really teetering on the edge right near the end there. So in terms of balance, we played a medium version, and it did feel really tight. So yeah, with that going for it. It was better than I thought it would be.
Rating out of 10?
It's not my sort of game. I wouldn't ask to play it. It is decent. It's very well produced. I'm only going to rate it 6, but that's nothing to do with the game itself.
Okay. Bruce?
Really enjoyed it. I'd definitely give it a 7.
All right.
Yeah, I think I'll give it a 7.
Okay. I love Robinson Crusoe, and a big part of that, though, for me is the theme. And personally, this theme doesn't grab me as much as Steve was saying, really. All of the resources in Robinson Crusoe make sense. But in this one, there's a lot of cubes on the board, and it's not always clear quite what's what. We had cubes for gravel and cubes for water and cubes for dust, and it's easy to get confused because you're using different things in different scenarios. As Mark said, it is fiddly. I mean, Robinson Crusoe was fiddly. This is fiddlier, and I thought they would have really improved the rules a bit and made it a bit tighter and clearer, but they haven't really. I was quite happy to work through that with Robinson Crusoe because the theme was so engaging. This one doesn't grab me so much. So, I mean, if you like the mechanics of Robinson Crusoe and you want a sci-fi theme, this does it. It really is very similar to Robinson Crusoe in lots of ways, but it didn't really do it for me, I'm afraid. I think I'd be on a 6.5. All right, thanks for watching. That was First Martians.